إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Yesterday we are on Hadith 20 before we had issues with the internet. May Allah make it easier for us today and subsequently to have a smooth class. Hadith 20 in our book Al-Adabul Mufrad by Al-Imam Al-Bukhari rahimahullah. That hadith was reported by Al-Imam Al-Bukhari from his Shaykh Ali ibn al-Ja'd. In it, Al-Imam Al-Bukhari said, حدثنا علي ibn al-Ja'd قال أخبرنا شعبة عن حبيب ابن أبي ثابت قال سمعت أبا العباس الأعمى عن عبد الله بن عمرو قال جاء رجل إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يريد الجهاد فقال أحي والداك فقال نعم فقال ففيهما فجاهد. Al-Imam al-Bukhari, we had discussed a part of his chain of reports, and we got to the companion Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. We spoke a little bit about Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As yesterday and how he reports narrations regarding dutifulness to parents. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As in this report said, جاء رجل إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يريد الجهاد. A man came to the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يريد الجهاد. This man has shown intention. He wants to participate in the jihad. This is clearly different from our last hadith. Because in the last hadith it was جاء رجل إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. A man came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he came to give him bay'ah, an oath of allegiance. He came to pledge his coming for hijrah. And al-hijrah is completely different in this case from al-jihad. Usually they come together, al-hijrah and al-jihad. But the questions they have asked the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam are different. In the first case, he said, وَتَرَكْتُ أَبَوَيَ يَبْكِيَانِ. This first person had left his parents crying when he came to pledge jihad, when he came to pledge hijrah to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But in this second hadith, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As also, the man came, but he came to seek the Prophet's sallallahu alayhi wa sallam permission to participate in jihad. The scholars say the reason why he has to come like this, seek the Prophet's permission to participate in jihad and all of these, that this is evidence that this jihad for which he has come is one, it is jihadul kuffar. It is the jihad, because the word jihad, when it is employed, it would mean a wide range of things. It could be jihadun nafs, the jihad, the struggle that the individual carries out trying to better his religion and making sure that his religion is pure for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is also from the aspects of jihad. It could also be jihadul shaitan. The individual's fight and struggle against shaitan himself that has declared enmity against our father Adam and the rest of his descendants. It could be jihadul shaitan. And it could as well be in the specific terms of jihad, that is, having to actually be carrying out a war against the mushrikun in the various circumstances that this occurs, whether by way of defending the Muslim community or by way of advancing the kalima of Allah. They are both from the aspects of jihad. So the jihad in this case that this companion, about which this companion has come to ask the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ulama say the ruling of this jihad is fardun kifaya. It is from furudul kifaiya. That is a fard, something that is obligatory on him. Yes, jihad, because the basic ruling about jihad on every individual is that it is fardu kifaya. Fardu kifaya, like just like the janaza. The janaza, that is funeral rites. When some of the people carry out the funeral rites over a dead Muslim, the obligation of carrying out the funeral rites upon that Muslim is relieved over the rest of the Muslims. So fardu kifaya are those obligations. Yes, it is obligatory on the generality of the people. But when some people in that community perform that act, that obligation is taken off the rest of the community. So those who fulfill that obligation, they suffice the rest of us away from that obligation. Likewise, the jihad. Jihadul kufar we are talking about. When a number of Muslims, this is the basic rule regarding jihad, according to the view of the large majority of the ulama. The large majority of the ulama say that the basic ruling about jihad is that it is fardu kifaya on an individual, on a Muslim, on a male who is matured, who is freeborn, who has the ability. I think there are about 7 conditions of jihad. And then he's permitted by the parents. We are coming back to this, inshallah. So the Muslim male who has the ability, who is healthy, and who is freeborn, who is not under captivity or slavery. Upon all of these, the ruling of jihad upon the individual is that it is an obligation that when some Muslims fulfill it, that obligation, that compulsoriness is removed from the rest of the Muslims. So this is the jihad regarding which this companion has come to ask for the permission from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to participate in that jihad. We are coming back to this. I think we can move forward to explain the hadith before we come back to start picking the points of benefits. So this companion came to ask the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam about that. And the Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ahayyun walidak, are your parents, are the two of your parents alive? Faqala na'am. This companion answered, yes, my parents are alive. Faqala fafihima fajahid. Go back, return to your parents. Fafihima fajahid. Direct all your efforts, all your struggle, all your financial ability that you would have put into the jihad against the non-Muslims. Direct it to the service of your father and your mother. Direct your financial ability, the entirety of it. Direct your physical ability, your health, your strength, your interest, your passion, your attention that you would have paid during the jihad. Direct all of these, فَفِيهِمَا فَجَاهِدْ. Direct it to your parents. Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar, rahimahullah, because this hadith also occurs in Sahih al-Bukhari. When Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar, rahimahullah, explained this hadith, he said, إِن كَانَ لَكَ أَبَوَانِ. That's what the Prophet was saying to him. That if you have that your two parents who are still alive, فَأَبْلِغْ جُهْدَكَ فِي بِرِّهِمَا وَالْإِحْسَانِ إِلَيْهِمَا. He says, فَأَبْلِغْ. He says, direct the entirety of your juhud, of your efforts, of your attention, of your power and ability. فِي بِرِّهِمَا وَالْإِحْسَانِ إِلَيْهِمَا. Direct all of these instead of coming for the jihad. Direct the entirety of your energy to serving your parents and being dutiful to them. But let's not forget, this is regarding a jihad that is from fardu kifaya, the jihad that is from those obligations that when some of the Muslims fulfill that obligation goes off the rest of the Muslims. There are some circumstances in which the jihad becomes from fardu ayn, that is an obligation that is obligatory on each of the individuals. And the scholars, the Sheikh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah has recognized about 5 conditions in which the jihad becomes obligatory upon every individual. For example, when a Muslim has already advanced for the battle, the Muslims already advanced for the battle, they get to the battlefield. At that time, it becomes obligatory for them to continue upon the battle. Before that time, it is still from fardu kifaya. But once the battle itself has started, it is compulsory upon them to continue upon the battle. We will not forget that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he gave the 9 commands to Abu Darda Uwaymir ibn Malik, one of what he told him sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that you must never run away from the battlefield, because at that time that jihad has become specifically compulsory upon him. The second situation perhaps in which the jihad becomes compulsory upon every single individual, male in the community, is when, for example, the enemies of Islam attack the Muslim community. In this circumstance, every Muslim male becomes an army for the Muslim community, because we have to protect the honor and the dignity of the women in the community. We have to protect the honor of the community and the Muslims itself, and the life and the property of the Muslims in the community. In that kind of a circumstance, it would be wrong for an individual to say, oh no, it is fardu kifaya. It becomes compulsory on you as an individual. Every Muslim in the community becomes a soldier to protect that community and the property in the community, and the women and the children and the old people in the community. It becomes an obligation that is compulsory on each and every person in that community. Sheikhul Islam Ibn Taymiyyah gave other situations. For example, the Amir, the community, the head of the community, or the president of the community, or the leader of the army says, we need the expertise of so and so person in the battlefield. We need the expertise. Initially, to go for that battle is fardu kifaya. When some people go, it is not obligatory on him. But now the army of the Muslims now require the expertise of a particular individual. This particular individual whose expertise is needed by the rest of the community, it becomes compulsory on him as an individual to go for that battle. The scholars have mentioned that this is under that hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he said, فَإِذَا اسْتُنْفِرْتُمْ فَانْفِرُوا فَإِذَا اسْتُنْفِرْتُمْ, when you are called upon to come out for jihad as an individual or as a people, فَانْفِرُوا, go out for the jihad. So this compulsoriness meets that individual, that the community say, no, we need you to go. You as an individual, maybe because of particular expertise or particular ability. Maybe the army does not have those persons, or the army requires those people with those kinds of speciality in the army. They can invite particular individuals to carry out particular jobs in the army. So these kinds of situations, jihad becomes fardu ayn. And in these kinds of situations, it is not allowed. It will not be upon the decision of the two parents. I'm just trying to differentiate. When during jihad, does it become compulsory for a child to seek the permission of the two parents? That is jihad in which the ruling is still fardu kifaya. But in the jihad in which the ruling is fardu ayn, something that becomes compulsory upon every unit, the Muslim male who is matured, who is free, who is sane, who is able and not sick to participate in jihad. It is when it becomes fardu ayn, that is specifically obligatory on him, he does not have to go to ask for the permission of the parents. If the community of Muslims was attacked by a group of non-Muslims now, a man does not have to ask his mother whether to go and defend that same community or not. He has to go out and defend the community by obligation. So I think the jihad in which this permission from the parents is compulsory is the jihad that is fardu kifaya, and this is what the ulama have said. If the jihad is from the jihad that is from fardu ayn, specifically compulsory upon every unique individual in the Muslim community, this kind of permission is not a requirement. The individual has to go out for jihad. If we go to the book Al-Injad, one of the scholars, Al-Imam Ibn al-Manasif, he became popular by that name, Ibn al-Munasif. He has Abdullah al-Qurtubi, Ibn al-Munasif. He has a book, Al-Injad fi Awwal al-Jihad. Many of the scholars have said this is one of the best books so far that has been written about Ahkam al-Jihad. And it has a tahqiq in 2 volumes that is very, very, very good, in which you find these explanations regarding other issues of jihad, how it is done, in what circumstance does it become compulsory, and in all of this. The point of reference, dear brothers and sisters, in this hadith is that asking for the permission of the parents and being dutiful to the parents is so important that even jihad is connected to the permission of the parents. It is so important that jihad is connected to the permission of the parents. Imam Ibn Abdul Barr and others amongst the scholars have mentioned that they don't even know if there is khilaf regarding this, that when the jihad is under this fardu kifaya, the person has a duty to go and ask for the permission of his parents before he goes. Imam Hassan al-Basri, one of the tabi'un, was even asked that how about if one of the parents agrees and the other one rejects? He said he should not go. The father says, go for jihad. The mother says, don't go for jihad. We are talking about jihad that is fardu kifaya. The father says, go. Mother says, don't go. The ulama say, return, don't go. If the mother says, go, the father says, don't go. The ulama say, don't go. In fact, Al-Imam Al-Awza'i, rahimahullah, Abdurrahman Al-Awza'i, the big scholar of hadith and fiqh among the scholars of Sham, he is in this category of Al-Imam Ahmad, Imam Malik, and the rest of them. Al-Imam Al-Awza'i, he was from amongst the early Muslims. He was even asked, how about if the father say, come with me? The father say, come with me on the jihad. You will help me carry my belongings. You will help me, you serve me, you cook food for me, you provide for me during the jihad. And the mother says he should not go. The sheikh says, Fala yakhruj. He should not go. This is upon a jihad that is from fardu kifaya. Or if it is from a jihad that is fardu ain upon every single individual in the community, the individual does not require the permission of the 2 parents. So these are the points connected to this. But the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, فَفِيهِمَا فَجَاهِدْ. Go return to your parents and spend all your energy to be dutiful to your parents. This goes to explain the importance of dutifulness to the parents, to the extent that the expressions for jihad is employed to describe the same expression, the same attention, the same energy that the child needs to put in to be able to dutifully, relate with his parents. This makes us understand that relating with the parents is a big job. Relating and being dutiful, being compassionate, being kind to our parents, being good children to our parents. It's a very, very big job that requires a lot of efforts. Sometimes we think that being dutiful to our parents is something that will come from our comfort. Being dutiful to parents may not come from your comfort. Just like jihad is not something that will come from your comfort. If you go to a battlefield, you are careful that the slightest mistake you commit can lead to your life being taken away. Look at the kind of care and attention you are going to place when you're on the battlefield. It is not upon. Sometimes the individual becomes injured during the battle. And he has to sometimes bear that injury to be able to survive that battle. But when we relate with our parents, with the slightest injury mentally, with the slightest discomfort we feel, we back out. Somebody can say the distance to where his parents or her parents are is too far. I can't go. It is something into which you have to pay a lot of attention. You have to put a lot of energy. You have to put a lot of struggle to be able to achieve that aim. So this is very, very important for us to understand. But Al-Imam al-Bukhari has placed this hadith under a chapter. That chapter is that Yabarru Waliday. The child must be dutiful to the two of his parents, Ma'alam yakum ma'asiyatan, as long as that dutifulness does not involve disobedience to Allah. That means that when the jihad becomes from the Fard Ain, it is unlawful for that child to now also begin to seek the permission of the parents, especially when he knows that they may not even agree with him to proceed upon the jihad, such that that permission or their statements and their view can affect, make him not go for jihad. It means that that individual is crossing the bounds regarding the limits of Allah. Yes, in jihad of Fardu Kifaya, their permission is a condition for you to go. If they don't allow you, you should not go. In fact, one of the scholars says, if they allow you in jihad that is Fardu Kifaya, if they allow you to go, but you sense in them that inside them they don't want you to go, he said you should not go. That is the view of Al-Imam Al-Hasan Al-Basri. Al-Imam Ibn Abdul Bar mentioned it in Al-Istizkar. If you see, they say go, this is jihad that is for the kifaya. You come to seek their permission. And the parents say, both of them say go. But you sense in them that they really don't want you to go. But you know, parents, sometimes they also they want to just carry on with what the child wants. It's not as if they are so pleased with it. The Imam said, if you find out this, the better thing is for you not to advance. If you note that the best of what the parents want is that you should remain with them. So this goes to make us understand that our parents are so important to us. And that we need a lot of effort and a lot of energy to be able to be dutiful. We should not think that dutifulness to parents, like we mentioned earlier, is something that will come on a platter of gold. It may not be easy to be dutiful, but we must also be dutiful. Just like it is not easy to participate in jihad, and we should participate in jihad. Likewise, it may not be easy to be dutiful, but we must be dutiful. That's why yesterday we mentioned something, that dutifulness to parents, for many of the children of today, many of us today, is something we have to learn over the time. We have to put it in mind and be learning to be dutiful so that it becomes a part and parcel of us to be very, very dutiful and caring to our parents. May Allah forgive all of us. In this hadith, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As said, جاء رجل إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يريد الجهاد. A man came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, intending to go for the jihad. فقال, the Prophet then asked him, alayhi salatu wasalam, أحي والدك? Are the both of your parents alive? فقال نعم. His companion said, the two of my parents are alive. فقال ففيهما فجاهد. Return to them, go and make the effort. The effort you place in jihad, direct it to serving your parents and being dutiful to them. But we must not forget that dutifulness to parents, all of which it involves, as important as it is, it must not involve disobedience to parents. That is why Al-Imam al-Bukhari has placed this hadith under and then gave it a limit. Said, yes, yabarru waliday. The child must be dutiful to the parents. Ma lam yakun ma'asiyatan. As far as that action does not interpret to mean that he is becoming sinful and disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think that suffices on that chapter. Babu yabarru walidayhi مَا لَمْ يَكُنْ مَعْصِيَةً. The chapter on that it is compulsory for the child to be dutiful to the parents as long as it does not involve committing sins. The Sharia in this hadith prefers even the hijrah. And hijrah is so important and rewarding. In the hadith of Abdullah, in the hadith of Amr ibn al-As in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that وَالْهِجْرَةُ تَهْدِمُ مَا كَانَ قَبْلَهَا وَالْهِجْرَةُ تَهْدِمُ مَا كَانَ قَبْلَهَا. Hijrah, making hijrah, it cancels out every sin that the individual has committed before making that hijrah. Still, dutifulness to parents is still giving preference over hijrah. It means that dutifulness to parents is something that is very, very important to the Muslim. Likewise, jihad, as we have seen in the Hadith 20 that we have explained a while ago. May Allah make it beneficial to us all. The next bab is Babu man azraka walidayhi falam yadkhul al-jannah. Babun man azraka walidayhi falam yadkhul al-jannah. The chapter on an individual who is lucky to meet his parents alive, walam yadkhul al-jannah, and then he does not now enter al-jannah. You have parents, you have your daddy, you have your mommy, and still you cannot be dutiful to them so much that you earn al-jannah from being dutiful to them. What kind of a person is this? The hadith under this chapter will tell us the ruling regarding such individuals. May Allah protect us from this evil. And that is hadith 21 in our book Al-Adabul Mufrad. In it, Al-Imam al-Bukhari says, Rahimahullah, حدثنا خالد بن مخلد قال حدثنا سليمان بن بلال قال حدثنا سهيل عن أبيه عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم قال رغم أنفه رغم أنفه رغم أنفه قالوا يا رسول الله من؟ قال من أدرك والديه عند الكبر أو أحدهما فدخل النار. من أدرك والديه عند الكبر أو أحدهما فدخل النار. Al-Imam al-Bukhari, his teacher in this hadith is Al-Imam Khalid ibn Makhlad Abu al-Haytham al-Bajali. Khalid ibn Makhlad, he is Khalid ibn Makhlad Abu al-Haytham al-Bajali, rahimahullah. He said, حدثنا Sulaiman ibn Bilal. He said Sulaiman ibn Bilal, that is Sulaiman ibn Bilal al-Qurashi, rahimahullah, has reported this hadith to us. Al-Imam Sulaiman ibn Bilal, he was a very, very brilliant person, very intelligent, and he was said to be very, very handsome amongst the scholars. Rahimahullah, Sulaiman ibn Bilal al-Qurashi. He said, قال حدثنا سهيل. Suhail, who has reported this hadith, we have read one of his hadiths. He is Suhail ibn Abi Salih. Suhail ibn Abi Salih. We remember that Abu Salih, his father is Zakwan as-Samman. Zakwan as-Samman. So he is Suhail ibn Zakwan as-Samman. That is the name of Suhail ibn Abi Salih. Abu Salih is Zakwan as-Samman. And we remember that Suhail ibn Abi Salih has other three brothers. All of them, the four of them, scholars. Abu Salih is his brother, from whom their father took his kunya, Suhail ibn Abi Salih. So Salih is the elder brother of Suhail. They also have Muhammad. And who? Abdul Malik. So these are the four brothers of the three brothers of Suhail. All of them scholars of hadith. Rahimahumullah. So Suhail has reported this hadith from his father, Zakwan as-Samman. And Zakwan as-Samman, the father of Suhail, is the student of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, who who is reporting this hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. You note here again that this hadith is from a child who is very, very dutiful to his parents. That child is Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu. And we remember the name of his mother. What is his mother? Umayma radiallahu anha. That's the mother of Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu. You will always find these companions with these kinds of reports. So Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu has reported from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that the Prophet said alayhi salatu wassalam, Ragima anfuhu, Ragima anfuhu, Ragima anfuhu, Ragima anfuhu. Anf is the nose. Ragima. Ulama say these expressions can mean two things. It can mean dua and it can mean khabar. It can mean dua, that is to say, may his nose be in the dust. May his nose, may dust and mud and clay be brought to his nose. The face is a noble, honorable place. So when you say that clay and sand and mud be brought to the nose of the person, you are bringing him down. You are demeaning him. Either be brought to his face or that his nose be turned down to rub the sand. So ulama say if we consider it as from dua, it means the Prophet is mentioning an expression of curse. May that person be disgraced. May that person be disgraced. May that person be disgraced. Raghima anfuhu. Raghima anfuhu. Raghima anfuhu. May that person, if we take it to be dua, that is a dua alayhi. It's a dua against that individual. That is a curse is directed to an individual. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that expression of a curse if we take it to be a curse, a dua. If we take it to be dua alayhi, the Prophet mentioned it 3 times. Raghima anfuhu, Raghima anfuhu, Raghima anfuhu. May he be brought to disgrace. May he be brought to disgrace. May he be brought to disgrace. This is if we consider it as dua. But if we consider these expressions as khabar, that the Prophet is telling us the condition of that person, what it will mean is that that person is already a disgraced person. That person is a disgraced person. That person is a disgraced person. The first one is that he is calling Allah to disgrace that person. The second one is that he's just telling us that that person is already a disgraced person. May Allah protect us from this. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Raghima anfuhu, Raghima anfuhu, Raghima anfuhu. The Prophet employed emphasis in this. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu said the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he teaches us, sometimes he will say his expressions 3 times so that it will be understood. So it will be understood and the students will consider those expressions and what they contain very, very important. In the hadith of Abu Ruqayya, Tamim ibn Aus al-Dari, the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ad-dinu nasiha, ad-dinu nasiha, ad-dinu nasiha, 3 times. In the hadith of al-Bazaza, the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah tasma'un, Allah tasma'un, Allah tasma'un. Did they not hear? Did they not hear? Did they not hear? They said, here was O Messenger of Allah. And al-Bazaza min al-Iman. That being simple in your dressing and your outlook is from the aspects of the Iman. So sometimes the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will repeat expressions like this so that the student will put it into mind. The student will take it very important. Know that this is an important message. By the time he says Raghima anfuhu, Raghima anfuhu, Raghima anfuhu, you know that this is a serious case. Everybody wants to listen. This also means that if you are a teacher, pay good attention to the means of making your students understand what you say. It's not all about, oh, he's a learned person. He has all the Quran. His Arabic is teach. when we explain Islam to people, and even in the mundane sciences that we teach people, be sure that as a teacher, you have thought about how to make your students not only understand what you are saying. Sometimes you're merely saying it retains the message in the mind of the student and he never forgets. The mode of delivery is very important while teaching. Your delivery is very important while teaching. Our delivery is very, very important while teaching. It is not something that a person should be oblivious about. It's not just about what you are teaching. How you have taught it to is very important. This is the lesson we have learned from the prophets repeating this message, Raghima anfuhu, Raghima anfuhu, Raghima anfuhu. So they were forced to ask. It is very, very natural question that will come in the mind of the person listening to someone who says this to him. Ya Rasulallah, man, who is it that should be disgraced by Allah? Or who is it that is already a disgraced individual? Who is that person? Who is it? Who is this disgraced individual? Tell us about him. The Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, man adraka walidayhi in al-kibar. The person who is disgraced, or the person that Allah should disgrace, is that person adraka walidayhi in al-kibar. He meets the two of his parents in al-kibar when they are both old. Aw ahadahuma, or just one of his parents. There are some of us, we have the two of our parents with us, old. There are some of us, we only have just one of our parents with us, old. He is not able to serve this parent and then he enters the fire. He does not serve them. He becomes nonchalant. He is busy in his office. He is busy at work. His work, they take him from one location to the other. These are the excuses he has for not being a dutiful child to his parents or for not being a dutiful child to her parents. There are some of the women, sorry to say, the excuse they have is no other than laziness. The excuse they have is no other than laziness. You hear sometimes some of the women say, I can't starve, I can't cook, I can't sweep, I can't clean and care for the parents of my husband. I can't do it. Most likely these women will not be able to do it even regarding their own mothers. Most women who will say, I can't care for my mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law is your mother too. The mother-in-law is your mother. It's why they say mother. The only reason is that the motherhood has come by law. The law, in this case, the law that binds yourself and your husband together. Otherwise, your mother-in-law is your mother. Most of the women who take these kinds of hard stance of not being nice to mother-in-laws, many times they will not be nice to their own mothers. It's just a way of evading it. They now start saying, it is slavery, it is idolatry, they start giving excuses. The woman is intrinsically lazy. May Allah protect all of us. Like I said, many of the people are affected in many ways. Each person, what matters now is that each of us should make good efforts to start trying to address ourselves. Allah says in Al-Qiyamah, Balil insanu ala nafsihi basira. Each of us, we see ourselves more than anyone else. Walau alqa ma'azira. Even if we choose to start giving excuses, you can give 1001 excuses. You know the truth and Allah knows you better. Pay good attention to your parents. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has prayed Allah's disgrace upon the person who meets either his father or his mother. He says, Indal kibar. Let's discuss this. Why Indal kibar? Because Indal kibar, when they are old, that's the time they mostly need the children. So how will you abandon someone who needs you most at a time that they need you most? Like they say in English language, you leave them in the lodge. Leave them in the lodge. They need you most. They are weak. They are tired. They are sick. They can't see. Some of them can't hear. They can't even move the hands, some of them. And then you abandon them in this kind of a situation. You must be wicked and deserving of that disgrace. So that was why the Prophet called Allah's disgrace on such individuals. So you leave your parents, you become undutiful to them. Unfortunately for you, or fortunately, if you have been dutiful, it will be a means for you to earn Al-Jannah. Your dutifulness is something that will be well rewarded. So you leave these rewards. You even leave the humaneness of being intrinsically and genuinely caring towards and kind towards these parents who are now old. They can't do anything. So you leave them to themselves. So you deserve that disgrace. So a person who leaves his parents, or sometimes he adds salt to wound. Some of the people are so arrogant that at the situation when these parents are so weak, when they are tired, when they can't help themselves, they begin to insult the parents. They begin to abuse their parents. Some women employ their own mothers as the nannies to clean their toilets. They employ their own mothers as nannies to clean their own toilets. They employ their mothers to be babysitters for them. And when the mothers do it gladly, they become abusive, taking their mothers like a slave to themselves. Some of these people, when they have just give birth to children, the mothers wash their clothes happily. We all know in the area where we have come from, this is something a lot of mothers who are still young able to do that. They do it gladly. Or how about when such children now exploit that situation to enslave that mother? And they now lord over the mother. When they become strong after child delivery, they are useless to the same mother who was helpful to them. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has expressed sallallahu alaihi wasallam Allah's curse on these kinds of women. May they be disgraced. Likewise, men. Many of the people just look the other side regarding their parents. I know a man who would say that it is when he sees his mother that his businesses do not thrive. What is the connection between your mother and your business? So he abandoned the mother. When the mother was sick till the mother died, he refused to pay the mother a visit. Now that same person is old. He started to tell his children to please pay attention to him. I don't know what Allah will do to him. I know a person like that. He was very disrespectful to his mother. He said that each time he meets his mother, his businesses go down. It's a case I know very well. So he refused to meet the mother even when the mother was sick in the hospital till the mother died. Now he is old. He's a retired civil servant. He's now calling around his children and close relatives that, talking to them, being fatherly to them. When I see that, I smile. What he wants, he didn't give it to his mother. But I don't know what Allah will do to him. May Allah protect all of us. Any person who has parents, pay good attention to your parents. If you pay good attention to them, Allah will protect you from the fire, bi-iznillah, and then He will admit you into Al-Jannah, as is in some of the reports of this hadith. Because in some of those reports, the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, man adraka walidayhi inda al-kibar, whoever meets the two of his parents when they are old, aw ahadahuma, or any one of the two parents, he meets them when they are old. This kind of a person, he meets them, falam yadkhulil jannah, and then he still does not enter al-Jannah. In some reports, it says, falam yadkhulil jannah. This is what Al-Imam al-Bukhari pointed to when he gave it as a chapter heading to say, man adraka walidayhi falam yadkhulil jannah. This is the expression in Sahih Muslim. But he mentioned it in his Al-Adabul Mufrad. It's another expression. Even though this expression in Sahih Muslim itself also occurs in Al-Adabul Mufrad, this expression itself also occurs in Sahih Muslim with the same isnad of Al-Imam al-Bukhari. Even though between Al-Imam Muslim and Khalid ibn Makhlad there is another Imam, Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba, in between Imam Muslim and Khalid ibn Makhlad. But in the case of Al-Adabul Mufrad, Al-Imam al-Bukhari was reporting that hadith directly from Khalid ibn Makhlad. This same love, this same expression that we have seen in Al-Adabul Mufrad occurs in Sahih Muslim. from the reports of Al-Imam Muslim on this hadith. So the point of reference in this hadith is that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Razima anfuhu, may he be disgraced. Razima anfuhu, may he be disgraced. Razima anfuhu, may he be disgraced. May dust and dirt and clay and mud be brought to his nose. May his nose be turned into the dust and clay. Qalu ya Rasulallah. The companions asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Messenger of Allah, man, who is that? And the Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, man adraka walidayhi in al-kibar. That individual who will be fortunate to meet his parents when they are old. Aw ahadahuma, or any one of the two parents. Even as that is still enters fire. This is a disgraced individual. He's already a disgraced person. Allah has disgraced this kind of a person. Or that may Allah disgrace this kind of a person who meets his two parents old or any one of them, and he was not dutiful to be able to earn al-Jannah. Instead, he even earns Jahannam. He's certainly a disgraced person. May Allah protect us from this evil. I think it will be sufficient for us to stop here today so that we can take the rest of the time to ask questions and give responses to those questions that we have asked. What we have said so far, may Allah make it beneficial to the person saying and to the rest of us listening to them. We will see that our religion has paid great attention to parents. Islam has paid great attention to parents. In this kind of a situation, I wouldn't know whether one Muslim male or female will take his parents to old people's home. It means you are putting your al-Jannah away from yourself. I don't know a Muslim in this kind of a situation after hearing this hadith who will now take his father, old mother, take them to old people's home. It's like you've been presented a certificate of the Jannah inside your house. Don't worry, you will enter al-Jannah. Something like that. And I say, no, don't tell me that. You take it away and take it far away from yourself. So that's why the Prophet mentioned people who will behave like this. People who will not pay attention to their parents. Yes, someone may say, no, I'm busy, start giving yourself excuses. The point is that you must pay good attention to your parents. It is not favor you are doing. You are not doing a favor. You are only trying to pay back favors done to you. And it is something you can't pay back. So if you can't pay back everything, will you still be unfortunate not to now pay back anything? Is it reasonable? You can't pay back everything. Is it now reasonable you decide not to pay anything at all? That is why such persons are disgraced individuals. May Allah protect all of us from this evil. May Allah protect all of us from this evil. It's sufficient for a Muslim to be praying to Allah to make him dutiful to his parents. We saw that in the story of Yahya and Isa alayhi salam, that they beg Allah to make them children who will be dutiful to parents. So may Allah make us children who will be dutiful to our parents. I think we can stop here for the question and answer session. Abu Abdul Barra. Abu Yusuf.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakumullahu khairan ya Shaykhana.
Amin wa antum.
Well, the first question I'm having here says, yesterday, Sheikh mentioned that Nabi Lut was a mushrik before he believed in Nabi Ibrahim. And the Sheikh cited the verse, فَآمَنَ لَهُ Lut. But we have been taught that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected the Anbiya from shirk. That is Awwal, before the revelation to them. So the question is there any exception to this principle? Does the verse have another possible interpretation? May Allah grant us steadfastness.
Well, this statement that I have said, like I said yesterday, many others amongst the scholars have said it. Apart from the verse in Surah Al-Adabul, verse 26, فَآمَنَ لَهُ Lut, and Lut believes in him. as I speak, do not know any other interpretation for it than what I have said. It doesn't foreclose searching for other interpretations if there are, but that interpretation must not be away from the apparent meaning of that verse. That interpretation must not be away from the apparent meaning of that verse, and it must be pointed to by clear-cut text. What you rather find is something that may even strengthen that deduction that the scholars have made from that verse. Like the verse in Surah Al-A'raf. If you go to Surah Al-A'raf, verse 88 and 89, Allah spoke about Nabi Shu'aib. He says, قَالَ الْمَلَأُ الَّذِينَ اسْتَكْبَرُوا مِنْ قَوْمِهِ لَنُخْرِجَنَّكَ يَا شُعَيْبُ قَالَ الْمَلَأُ الَّذِينَ اسْتَكْبَرُوا. Those who were arrogant amongst the nobles, the eminent people in the community of Shu'aib, they say, لَنُخْرِجَنَّكَ يَا شُعَيْبُ. They say, Shu'aib, we will throw you, we will expel you from this city. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَكَ مِنْ قَرْيَتِنَا. Likewise, those who have believed together with you, we will throw you all away from, we will expel you from our city. أَوْ لَا تَعُدُّنَّ فِي مِلَّتِنَا. Or that you should return to our religion. Ulama say, لَا تَعُدُّنَّ فِي مِلَّتِنَا. We throw you all away. Shu'aib and those who believe with you, or all of you should come back into our religion. The scholars further say this is evidence that it means that they were upon their millah. It means that Shu'aib and the rest of these people were upon that millah. Allahu Alam, this is what these two verses have pointed to at this moment. And it is not aib that an individual will be upon something that is bad and Allah brings him something that is good. Look at the companions of the Prophet, people like Omar radiallahu anhu, people like Mughira bin Shu'bah. They were people who were from shirk. Allah brought them to Islam, and their Islam is what we know of today. So if after finding out, we find that this interpretation is not correct interpretation, and it is proven, if we find something else that is proven with evidence, we will take that second one. But at this moment, this is what these two verses of the Quran, this is what they express. And I think that is also the position of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah regarding these issues. One of the scholars, Shaykh Abu Abdurrahman Ibn Abi Saud al-Kayal, Abu Abdurrahman Abu Saud al-Kayal, he has written a book on this matter, and he was very, very, very extensive on it. That what matters regarding an individual is what is his end. How he has started is not as important as how he has ended. So the second affair of these people is what matters for them. To cite a lot of examples regarding matter. If we find something else that is based on proof that contradicts what this verse in Surah Al-Ankabut, فَآمَنَ لَهُ لُوطٌ, or what the people told Shu'aib and his people, that أَوْ لَا تَعُودُنَّ فِي مِلَّتِنَا, or that you should return into our religion. If we find anything that contradicts this explanation, to make us understand that no, it does not mean that they were upon the same shirk, then we will take to that thing, because what directs us is evidence. But if no evidence shows so, remain with the verse of the Quran. Inna rabbaka fa'alun lima yurid. Naam. Amin.
The other question says, some parents, especially those that have multiple wives and children, do not have the opportunity of having the benefits of care from their children, especially when the wives are not always in good times. Therefore, the children will resort to taking such parents, especially the father, to old people's home for care, as there may be no consensus, especially among the wives, on whom should take custody of the father, maybe in fear of access to properties and possessions. What should a child in such family do to carry out his duties to such father?
Well, the first thing about that, the question appears to me as if the child is feeling uncared for by the father. Is that the case?
Not really. He didn't state it that way. He just said that the wives are not agree on who should take care of the father.
The father of who? The father of the husband.
No, the husband. Who should take care of the husband? Who is now the father to that child?
Okay. Okay. The child still has the duty to take care of his own father or her own father, whether his own mother and other mothers, his stepmothers, agree or not. You as a child, there's a duty on you. You are duty bound to care for your father. Whether your mothers are caring for your father or not, as a child, you have the duty to care for your father. You can get in a place where you place him, and you as an individual, you'll be the one caring for him. You yourself as an individual. We read the hadith, the author of Abdullah ibn Umar, about the man who carried his mother on the head to make tawaf. He is the one doing the job. He could have hired somebody to do that job. So you could stay in one house, rent a house, even if it's the one room, place the room, furnish the room, make it nice, put the father there. You'll be sleeping there as a man. You'll be taking care. You can even bring one of your wives if you have more than one wife. Or you bring your father to yourself if your mothers are not agreeing. Your own mother and the stepmothers are not agreeing who should take care of the father. You should look for a means to take care of your father yourself as an individual to the best of your ability. Avoid to take your father to old people's home. Avoid it. Avoid to take care of take your father to. It's like taking a sick person to the hospital. You know what that means? From the things that we setting is that emotional stress is that they become depressed. And the joy of a parent seeing the child successful, you make your father to lose it. Look for a means. Don't make the infraction between your stepmothers and your mother to be the reason why you take your father or your mother, as the case may be, to look for a means of making sure that that attention is given by you yourself as much as is possible. Allahu Akbar. I mean what?
The next question is saying, please, we need more explanation on mother-in-law and father-in-law. Be like our own mothers and fathers.
Well, in the past, these kinds of questions did not used to come because the Muslims lived as a community. Abu Huraira, we saw he was living with his mother. Yes, inside different apartments, but they are together. And he had a very, very large family. Abu Huraira radiallahu. He did not take his mother away from the house. So in the past, the Muslims used to live together as a family unit. Many of the women today, once they hear that a man wants to take a second wife, they start saying, oh, take me to another place, take me to another house. So you make the man become a man who is running about the entirety of his life. It is just a permissibility. I say it's just a permissibility. The basic rule is that what the Prophet did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had all his wives in one single community, one single home. The Prophet kept a single home. Alayhi salatu wasalam. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kept a single home. Where we make the taslim to him now, if you go for Umrah or Hajj, that is the room where he was buried, the room of Aisha. That passage where you see is the room of Hafsa. Radiallahu anha. That's why the ulama tell us that Hafsa and Aisha, radiallahu anha, they used to open their windows and discuss through the windows. Oh girl, how are you doing? What's happening inside there? So this was how close they were. It was a single household of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are not saying that it is not allowed for a man to keep a second home. You can keep a second home if you have two wives. They can even be in two different cities. It is allowed. But the basic thing is that a man keeps a home is a home person, the Muslim. And this was here until the recent times. Our own fathers kept homes. Anybody who is from 45 and above, you will find that your father kept a home. He had all his wife in one single home, except if they lived in different cities. Otherwise, they kept a single home. Most of us from 45 and above, you will find that your mother, your parents, your father, if he had more than one wife, he kept a single home. It is we now that we think that we have obtained Western education and Western civilization together with the education. Now everybody is nuclear. Just myself, my husband alone. Then we look for something in the Sharia that appears to support what we want. We apply it to it. Otherwise, if a man keeps a single home, the entire home is one single home. He has 3 wives, he has 2 wives, or even a single wife. He's keeping a single home. What will happen is that when his mother becomes alone, perhaps from the father becomes late, or the 2 of them, they can't stay alone. You see, he'll bring the 2 of his parents into his house. So it will be a home. When it is now a home, just as you serve your children, as you provide for your children, you provide for the parents of everybody in the house, the parents of your husband. It's something that happens naturally. It is not something about which we used to ask questions. It is from our modern day thinking that we are so wise, that has brought all these our questions, and then some of our brothers start looking for fatwas for us to justify what we are doing. Let us go back to where we have come from. Keep a single home, care for the entire home. There were slaves inside the house of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who were living with them, freed slaves. They were inside the house. It is the same wives who care for them that care for everybody. They cook for everybody. They take care of everybody as a unit. If the home agrees that every woman should cook, the entire house is eaten. And you always see great joy. Some of the people have only seen something negative in this. In my own lifetime, all I have seen in that, a man keeps a single home, single big home is joy. Not regarding myself, with people, elders that I have seen. We have seen big, great homes from where great people have emerged. The other one too is also there. But that is how life is. Just like from nuclear homes, you have also seen great minds emerging from nuclear homes. Just as we have seen a lot of hoodlums you see now looting people's property have also emerged from nuclear homes, which is the bulk of what we have today. So I think as Muslims, there is nothing stopping a woman from directly paying attention to the mother of her husband, just like you will prefer that your husband also takes care of your parents. Tell me a woman who doesn't want that. Tell me the woman who does not want her husband to care genuinely for her father. Tell me if you don't want that, if your father has illness that he can't stand, and your husband can carry your father with his hand. Tell me if you don't like it. So if you like that, you must like this. You can't now want goodness, good dealings from your husband, and you don't want to direct good dealings to the relatives of your husband in the name of I'm not a slave. I think thinking that this thing is part of slavery, it's mental slavery itself. And I think women need to free themselves from it. And I adjure our brothers, let us be frank with the women regarding this matter. Their deen, Allah told us in Surah Al-Ma'idah, He says, what did He say regarding Hadith and Tayyib? لا يستوي قل لا يستوي الخبيث والطيب ولو أعجبك كثرة الخبيث. You cannot compare something that is good with something that is not good, even though something that is not good becomes popular. فاتقوا الله يا أولي الألباب لعلكم تفلحون. So fear Allah, oh you the learned people. Don't open doors to the people that has been sources of disunity and fractionalizing the community. Goodness is goodness. It does not have limits, except when it involves disobedience to Allah. So there is nothing wrong, there is nothing preventing a woman from really serving the mother of her husband. More so if she sees it that her husband is the one. So it is from the aspects of serving the husband. But like I said earlier, and I say this frankly, many women are lazy now. Many women are lazy now. All they know is WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, and social media, watching Netflix and all that. Apart from that, they don't want to do anything. They just sit down. The husband is taking care of them. They don't want to take care of anybody. Sometimes some of the women will beg the husband to make people bring food to the house because she can't cook. The best of what she can cook is indomie and fried eggs. Let us stop these kinds of attitudes. Women must cook. Women must take care of the home. This is the strongest opinion in the Sharia regarding service in the home. You are not cooking. You are not washing the clothes. You are not sweeping the house. You are not doing anything. If you are not careful, obesity will set in, and then you find it, you pay the consequence. I adjure us for the sake of Allah. Women should return to the homes. The homes are their places, and care for the home, care for their children, care for the dependents in the home, work for the home, care for the home, and then you will see what will emerge from the children by Allah's mercy. I think this is not just about answering whether halal or haram. It's about directing us to what is best for us. Allahu Akbar.
I
mean, one, two.
A brother wants to marry second wife, and his parent is saying no.
Yusuf, I don't want you to make this issue become wife, husband, wife. It's about parents. If those questions regarding dutifulness to parents should take precedence. Okay. Let's not think about these issues of my one wife, two wives, three wives. Let it not overrun the essence of this discourse here under this chapter. Inshallah, we'll go to issues of husband and wife when we leave the issues of parents. But now, our major concern is parents and dealings with parents.
Okay, sir. The other question is about a matured male. Is it right for him to sleep on the same bed along with his mother?
No, he should not. It's not right. Because that is even prohibited regarding the children. How about him that is now old? He should sleep on the ground for his mother. It's not right.
I
mean, one.
The other question is kind of not related to today's class. He's asking about tashahhud. Can I proceed, sir? No. He said, at the last tashahhud, when the Imam has finished reading his own Salatul Ibrahimiyya, and the Ma'mun have not finished reading theirs, should we make the same with the Imam, or we quickly finish our own, reading our own?
To make taslim and follow the Imam is better. To make the taslim after the Imam, to follow the Imam is the best thing to do. Because that's what the Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, regarding the Imam. إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامِ لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ. The Imam has been appointed to the followed. فَإِذَا كَبَّرَ فَكَبِّرُوا. When he says Allahu Akbar, say Allahu Akbar. وَإِذَا رَكَعَ فَارْكَعُوا. When he goes on ruku, go on ruku. So the same thing applies. When he says taslim, make taslim to follow the Imam. So this is the basic rule about the Imam and about those praying behind the Imam. They should do their own once the Imam finishes his own. If you are reading Surah Al-Fatiha in the second, the third or fourth rak'ah, and you have not finished your Surah Al-Fatiha behind the Imam finishes his own and says Allahu Akbar and goes on ruku, you go with him. Because the Imam is the guarantee you have that you have not completed your own and he has completed his own, has guaranteed your own. Just carry on. So this is the basic rule regarding these. So if you make tashahhud, you make Salatul Ibrahimiyya, and then the Imam makes taslim even before you finish. Make your taslim. Make your taslim and follow the Imam. Even though I am aware that there are positions that allow that you can go a little bit ahead, but going a little bit ahead to complete and all of this will not strictly follow that instruction from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that we have described. So it is better to follow the Imam immediately. I think we can make. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Now we can go on with the last question. Inshallah.
No, jazakumullahu khairan. The brother was asking about permission of parents to get a second wife. Must he obey if his parents say he should not do it?
If the parents are, like we said, what we have described so far must not involve committing sin. Some of the people will come under the rura to actually take a second wife. Women will say, oh, which kind of rura? There are cases that a man will come under the rura to take a second wife. If we take a balanced look at it, so many reasons. So if it comes under darura, he has to explain to the parents to make them see the darura. This is from the aspects of dutifulness to the parents. And but if taking the second wife now becomes a burden such that he will not be able to be dutiful to the parents, he should not take the second wife. Should he even take their permission at all? He does not have to. He does not have to go and ask them for a permission to take a second wife. If he does, so as to seek blessings from them and further blessings from being dutiful to them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's also from being dutiful too. The more you do to please them, the better for you. But if that threatens you're being dutiful to them, and or they fear that if you take a second wife, you will not be able to be dutiful to them. This is an issue you have to address to be sure that you get their permission before you go on to it. But when they insist, don't take a second wife. Don't take a second wife. You should not take a second wife, especially if they are people of religion. Sometimes if it is out of hate, you not follow them. So, genuine concern, and you know that your parents are people who take good decisions upon religion, don't take a second wife when they say don't take a second wife. Don't take a second wife when they say don't take a second. Allahu Akbar. I think we can stop here, inshallah, Abu Yusuf. May Allah protect us till the next week.
Amin. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.